Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another part of the Final Fantasy Wiki's Final Fantasy X Let's Play, where I fuck up having what audio device my Let's Play video is playing on, and have to fix it on the fly. What's up? With me today is...
Are you ready?
That is, who was curious why you talked so slowly there.
Mr. Kinnock, please.
Obviously you've got...
Will sin come?
Sin always returns for its spawn.
So ask comes before T in the alphabet.
We're never going to get through a single episode of any LP without fucking up the intro.
No.
Yo, this is Technobliterator, and I'm gonna start this episode with a complaint. I asked to be in the Auron episode, and I was not in the Auron episode.
In my defense, I pinged you like 5 times in the week leading up to it.
I don't remember now, so it might have been my fault.
I'm pretty sure it was definitely your fault.
You know, we have the Discord search, then I can just look this shit up.
God.
It would not surprise me if it was my fault. But anyway, so when we get a spare moment, I'll talk about how Auron is just the best character in the series, well, the third best character in the series ever. But for now, we've got this fight. So this fight, I remember
it takes
this
forever.
is the first fight. Yeah, this is the first like difficulty spike in the game, because like this is the fight where like you actually have to think about what you're doing.
Like, I just know that, like, this was the absolute gatekeeper to Kid Me. Like, Kid Me literally just could not beat this fight the first time I played, like, FF10.
Oh, you've got counter on? Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, like...
I love counter in this game.
Bloody...
Those arms are in the way.
Owaka, like, sells a counter-strike weapon, like, right before this. And basically carries me most of the game.
Have we talked about how good the equipment system is in this game? Because I honestly think it's the best in the series.
I haven't done a lot of talk about it. Basically, it's...
You go on.
A lot of my thing is, like, there's not a lot to talk about in regards to it until, like, you actually unlock customization. Like, before then it just kind of exists, and you're based off, like, basically your random drops, which is fine, it's just... it exists.
Right, see, for me, like, what's so good about the equipment system, right, and when you think about it, it's similar-ish to the materia system, but in my opinion, a lot better, right? So, the equipment system just lets you have so many like customization options, right? Because when you get the 4, is it 4 slots the weapons goes to, or is it 3 slots?
It's 4 slots, which are like close to per game, yeah.
Okay, I'll remember it correctly. Because like you can customize the characters like so well with their armor, yeah, and it makes you really think about it. But because your resources are so like strict, it makes you really think about, because you have to spend a lot of time grinding for these, it makes you really think about what auto abilities you want to give your characters, right?
Easy.
Especially against the dark.
It's easy, you just go Ribbon, Auto Protect, something else, and easy.
Auto Haste.
Yeah, Auto Haste is also good.
Auto motherfucking Haste is the coolest ability ever. Right, Auto Haste and count off. Fucking hell.
I'm just loving how Sinspawn Yui has made it its life's mission to dunk on Tidus.
We're just ignoring the battle while Tidus repeatedly eats it.
Just...
Yeah, R.I.P. Tidus, like... Because in this stage of the game, all he can do is basically haste everyone, and then he does like decent damage, but he doesn't excel at anything. Because Auron hits very hard, Waka hits like this guy at a range because Tidus can't reach this guy's head, and Lulu exploits their elements. So Tidus is just like, he shows up, he hates everyone, and then you swap him out.
I mean, Tidus also has the use of like hitting wolves, and I'm bad at like this game, as we can see by me fucking up Spiral Cut 3 times before
Pretty
getting
much
it.
tradition. It's pretty much tradition that the Let's Player has to suck at the game.
Well, yeah, like ever since Blitz inputs. Only 90 kids.
What are overdrives in this game if not overly complicated blitz inputs?
That's true. All the overdrives, I think, require input except Yuna's.
Yuna's and Riku's are the only ones without big
Well,
inputs.
Riku, you have to learn what the different items are.
Yeah,
for the mech.
Yuna's and Kamaris are the simple ones.
The difficulty with Kamari is actually using Kamari at all, because all his limits suck. It's such a shame, because Blue Magic is the coolest thing, and Kamari
is a good character.
The point of Kamari is to make him self-destruct to get the overdrive, or to get the overkill every time, because that's funny.
God.
It's
The
such
point
a
of Riku.
shame, like, I mean, the idea in theory of the sphere grid where it's like, yo, you have this one character that you can make him do whatever you want. In theory, that's fine. But with Kamari, he's always, whatever path he'll be on, he'll always be like slower than the main person, because you've got to first get through the little sphere thing at the center before you can take them along that path. And then he's just gonna be like lagging behind whoever the main person is. So he's just gonna be like a poor man's whatever that is.
My take is Kamari's best use in the early game is getting onto Riku's part of the sphere grid before you get Riku.
Yeah, that's how most people use him, I think. And that's actually how I used him, because I think when I first played the game, I had no idea. I obviously had no idea who Riku was, what her abilities would be, blah 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 blah. I totally forgotten the intro segment because I hated the intro segment, so I blocked it out of memory. So I forgot all about Riku, and then I ended up accidentally doing that. The thing, yeah, like intro segments for games back then, in these days, were really bad. They were really long, they were really drawn out, and they were tedious.
Yes. Like, 10's intro, like, basically everything up until Besaid is the longest, most unglorified tutorial, but, like, what Final Fantasy game at this point doesn't have, like, a 10-hour long tutorial before the actual game?
I mean, I think 7 got it right. I guess you could argue that Midgar is the tutorial, but, like, Midgar is actually interesting.
Yep.
And I was gonna say 9, because I don't remember there being a tutorial for that.
So, 9 is...
It was.
The thing with 9 is there's basically no combat in the first hour and a half of the game.
Pretty much.
And I'm saying this because that was literally what I did last night. Like, I played the first, like, 2 hours of 9, and there is an obscene amount of missable bullshit in the start of 9, and it's just... why this?
I think, like, another thing with 9... no, not with 9, sorry, with intros in Final Fantasy games. I really like 6's, because it starts off, right, and the 3 of you all have really overpowered stuff. Because you're all in the Magitech armor, and all your abilities are broken. So it's a way to, like, teach you the combat system, and teach you how all this stuff works, right? And hold your hand a little bit, without, like, because you'll obviously lose that stuff immediately.
Yeah. Like...
so you don't become too dependent on it.
The taste of power trope in video games is really nice. Like Dragon's Dogma does it a little bit, where, like, at the start of the game you fight a thing that's, like, gonna be a pain for most of the game anyway, except you have, like, kind of endgame stats and you just sort of dunk on it a little bit.
Yes, Auron. So speaking of Dragon's Dogma, we should probably talk about the news that came out recently. But the Dragon's Dogma, I think it's a lead combat designer or like one of the combat designers, is now working with Yoshida or Yoshi P's team on whatever his single player game is, and many people suspect that to be 16.
Well, like,
Which of course led to Yoshi P explicitly saying it's not 16, but I mean, here's the thing, whenever there's a rumor about anything in the gaming industry, the company responsible can't confirm it for
Right.
a ton of different reasons. So it doesn't really matter what it is, because everyone's going to say it's 16 regardless of whether or not it is, and Square Enix have to say, well, no, it's not, even if it is. So there's a thing Yoshi P's working on. We know that's been the case for ages. We don't know what exactly it is. Everyone thinks it's 16 for reasons.
I mean,
We'll see.
Well, the other thing is, like, didn't he not, like, deny it that strongly? Didn't he just say, oh, the rumor's wrong, I'm still working on 14? Like, he didn't say Final Fantasy 16 doesn't exist. He didn't say, like, my team is not working on a whatever kind of game. He just said, the rumor's wrong, I'm still on 14.
Yeah, I didn't read the exact details because honestly, I hate a bunch of rumor-basing stuff. So
you've also got to take into account translations and stuff like that. Like interpretation is hard to determine sometimes.
So correct me if I'm wrong on this, but is 10 the first game where the summons do more than just their one ability?
Yes.
Right. It's the first game that does that? Okay,
Yes.
that's good.
yeah, this is the game that introduced controllable summons.
Because to me, that's really good, because, like, I thought, when I was playing Final Fantasy V, one of my favorite games in the series, like, I thought, well, here's the problem. I have summon magic, and I have black magic, right? They seem a little redundant, because summon magic is just basically black magic, except it hits everyone, and it can't be reflected. So why would I use black magic?
Well, like, usually in my case, like, why use summon magic when black magic does the same thing, except minus, like, a 15-second animation?
Right.
And
I
also
mean,
typically cheaper.
Also cheaper and
Yeah.
also generally dual castable, when dual cast breaks the game.
so when they were designing the summon magic for 7 Remake, what they specifically said, and this is, like, you can find this in an interview with the combat designer, is they said, like, since we made the original game, our philosophy with summons has always been that we want the summons to feel special. Like, we want the summons to feel like this special event that happens and really changes the course of the battle. And so that's why we decided since then that the summons will be something that, like, after you summon them, they're still around for a little bit, they help you out, and then they have their grandiose, like, massive animation where they do a load of damage. Where, like, before, the way of making something grand and special was just having these long-ass, drawn-out animations that actually kind of dissuades you from using them, because, like, especially in 7 to 9, right, and I think probably 8 is the worst offender, but I don't totally remember because I didn't summon last time I played 8. The summon animations in those games are fucking terrible.
Like,
right?
the summon animation for Eden in 8 goes on for nearly 2 minutes.
And I don't think that's as bad as the summon animation for Knights of the Round. Or I might be wrong
because
about that.
Square Enix's Trolls, they imported like half of Eden's animation into the fight against them in Final Fantasy 14 and made it so you can't do anything in the middle of it.
So really, like, I think they got summons most right in what they did for 7 Remake, which was basically they took the system they had for 12 but made it not so.
Like, the thing with 12 is, like, you're not given much or any control over your, like, summons. And the game
Right.
doesn't, like, there's technically ways, yes. but the game doesn't really teach you how to do them. Also, yuck, Seymour's on screen. I fucking hate this dude.
Also, we missed everyone eating shit.
Yeah, so we were too busy
everyone's
analyzing
dead.
the summon system.
Everybody's dead, Jim.
Ah, yeah, Seymour has 999 MP.
Yeah.
In defense of the like ridiculously long summon animations in 14, I think that it has like the practical purpose of like these savage fights are really long and really exhausting, and I know that like, for example, with like Shiva, I don't think that I could keep focus for 14 and a half minutes without like losing my mind.
Without the Shiva gets naked and parties with the dragon phase.
Yes.
I still feel so
I love
yuck
this
about
fucking
that
scene,
that
by the
things
way.
exist. Challenge is very good.
Oh, I love it. It's so cool. So, I don't get why Seymour's playable here. Right. I get that they did this thing where they're like, oh, we're gonna be like Sephiroth, where we make the villain playable so you can see how OP the villain is. But then Seymour's not even that OP. He just has fire instead of fire.
Yeah, like the thing is, like, it's very easy for your party to actually be more powerful than Seymour here. Like for the Let's Play, I'm not grinding as much as I would basically because like a lot of off-screen grinding is harder to do than just progressing through the game normally. So I'm like probably underleveled. But also I think Seymour's just powerful here so that if you're like worn out from the last fight with Gui, that like you just don't have to worry about it.
Right. I mean, I guess that's why they're doing it. But then, like, why have this segment at all? Like, what narrative purpose does it serve?
Like, in all honesty, people tend to get a bit of an impression about 10 from its post-game and stuff. If you just do the main story, it's very easy, no grinding required.
Right.
Like, some people even do the stupid thing where you bring in every character into every battle to have to defend for the sake of getting tons of experience. You don't even need to do that if you just want to beat the story.
I think the only
I don't
genuinely
know. I've
challenging
seen
boss
some
fight.
people be done with this game.
Yeah, people like overgrind in this game like crazy, but I feel like the only genuinely challenging boss fights are like one of the Seymour fights and like the final boss.
The others.
The
But-
Seymour fight you're referring to is the one where you have to like it's the one where he can turn people into zombies. And you basically have to like equip armor that makes you resistant to that zombie ability, and that's how you fight him, right? And that's why I love the armor system in this game so much, because you can do stuff like that. It's fucking awesome, right? There aren't many. I mean, okay, I guess you can do it in 8 to an extent, but like you can't do that in any other game.
Watch out, Sin's using the game words to commit war crimes.
And now everyone else is about to die.
So I don't like with this segment. I guess the point is to say we have been trying to kill Sin, guys. It just doesn't work. I guess because like the biggest criticism of this story I've ever seen, and I've never really agreed with it, is like, oh, why did it take them 1,000 years to look for another way to beat Sin? And the answer is
Religion.
it didn't take them 1,000. Yeah, it didn't take them 1,000 years. They've always been looking for one. It's just none of it's worked.
Like, my impression was that basically Yevon sabotages any of, like, things that could possibly actually kill Sin. Like, because there's a lot of implications that Yevon sabotaged Mihan as a political ploy.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's how I've always interpreted it, really. Is like, I mean, the interpretation I got is that, Braska, Auron, and Jack's pilgrimage needed to happen so that Tidus and Yuna's pilgrimage could happen, right?
Yeah.
Is they needed to get their guy in there, they needed to get Jack in there so that he could be weak to his son, and his son would be able to exploit that weakness to finally beat Sin. Like, that was the impression I always got. And I always got the impression that, like, the reason the Faith brought Jack and Tidus into the real world is because they knew that they would be able to do that and put Sin away for good.
I mean, that's just literally the plot, I believe.
Right.
This isn't Evangelion. The plot isn't that complicated.
But
Right,
what if it
and,
was?
Well, you see, like, so many people who criticize this game, like, I just feel like don't understand bits of it like that.
Like Happy Festival Fireworks, yeah.
Right. Also, like, while we're on that subject, this might be like, this is an unpopular opinion, I know. I don't think Walker's nearly that bad.
Oh, you missed the sphere.
I did,
Like, oh, yeah,
and
what-
I'm only just realizing this now.
Yeah, but so I don't think Walker's nearly as bad as people say he is, because what everyone says is, oh, he's a bigot. Yeah, that's kind of the point, right? Like, in the real world, you do have a lot of ignorant people like that. And Walker's whole thing is he uses his bigotry as his way of, like, coping with the loss of his brother, right? How many people in the real world do you know are like that? A lot of people. Walker's character exists to teach that lesson, you know, to teach that kind of ignorance doesn't help anyone, right? So is Walker a likable character? No, he's not a likable character because of that, right?
He at least gets a little bit better about it.
Yeah, he does. Like, part of his character is he comes to accept that he was ignorant and that he didn't know anything about the Albed, and that his worldview was wrong. But Walker's character needs to exist to show us that kind of, you know, mentality exists within the world of spirit, and his character exists to teach us all that lesson. So I don't think Walker's nearly as bad as some people say. Plus, he's voiced by Bender, and Bender's great.
Why?
Also, like, he literally has character development.
Yeah, he literally...
Like, this is a story. People have arcs.
Right.
He becomes not racist.
Right.
That's the entire fucking point.
I will say
Speaking of
though,
which-
like it's quite fun to make fun of Walker. That's one thing I very much enjoy.
So speaking of character development, I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about my favorite character in this game, by far, which I'm sad that I missed the episode he was introduced, because Auron has single-handedly saved not just this game, but the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise for me. Right? So his introduction in both Kingdom Hearts 2 and this game was the turning point for me, at which I went from this game is a slog, I don't like getting through it, when's it gonna get good, to holy shit, this game is amazing. Right? In this game, Auron is the first character I really fell in love with, and it's from that point on that I really started to like the others. You know, Auron's just cool, right? He's just a fucking badass, you know. He's an alcoholic zombie. Okay, spoiler warning, whatever. He's an alcoholic
This game's
zombie.
20 years old.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
We have
right?
never paid attention to spoilers in any of these fucking Let's Plays.
Okay,
No
well,
idea
whatever.
what I
Right,
was
so
thinking when I ran
spoilers,
after Sin
whatever.
that day.
He's a zombie, right? He's
Before
an
I knew what I was
alcoholic
doing,
zombie
there
with
I
fucking
was,
samurai
chasing him down
sword
like a thief at
abilities.
market.
He's
Maybe I
freaking
was
cool
angry.
as hell,
Maybe
right?
I wanted to go
And
home.
he's just,
I kept
you
thinking
know,
of Xanarkand.
he's
And
the one you always
my
have in
old
your
man.
party because he deals the most damage, right? From that first scene where he just comes on and there's this massive monster in front of him, and he just smirks and then like beats the shit out of him. I was like, holy shit, this guy is a badass. And then he never like stops being cool, but it's also like he's got a load of like, there's so much development to him as well, because you see through the Jack stairs. Go on.
I feel that Auron doesn't so much develop. Well, he more so just has his past revealed more than actual development. Right. Yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, you see through the Jack sphere how basically he was kind of like Tidus back in his day, right? He was young, naive, he wanted to like change the world and whatever, and he just had his whole worldview completely shattered, you know? He went through this all before, and then he was just broken when he found out from Unalesca, no, sorry, we're just the bad guys, right? I mean, there's no good side at the end of this, right? And that just explained everything about him. So there was like, there's so much like depth to him, and I just think that's really, really good writing, you know. And like, when you think about it, if Tidus represents the perspective of a player who's playing this the first time, you know, he's the audience surrogate character. He's like, he doesn't know anything about the world of Spira, just like the player doesn't know anything about the world of Spira. We experience like this world through Tidus the first time we play this game. When we replay this game, we're experiencing it through Auron's eyes, because he's seen this all before. He knows where this is going. He knows that this has to happen for this to happen.
I thought I sensed my old man there.
And I don't know any other characters in any other video game.
Or maybe it was just Sin's toxin playing tricks on my mind.
Like, all that stuff is why Auron is my third favorite character in the entire series, right? I have a holy trinity of favorite characters. It's Kafka, Tifa, and Auron, right? And my aspiration is to one day cosplay Auron. Coolest fucking character ever.
And Yuna dances. When will she stop dancing?
Yuna with the Fortnite Battle Royale victory.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yuna won't stop dancing. Not until Sin is gone.
Yeah, this is a scene where, like, in the original game, I found this...
I think.
What original game? In my original playthrough, I used to find Tidus' narration really annoying, but now I actually kind of like it.
It's fine. It's not as like a lot of things with the voice acting in this game. It's not as bad as what people make it out to be.
What?
I originally hated Tidus in my first playthrough. I despised him. I felt so condescended to as a player that I'm supposed to be experiencing this world through the eyes of this motherfucker. But now I kind of like him. You know, I think like, yeah, he's a bit of a goofball. He's kind of weird, but like when I kind of like distance myself from Tidus, right, and I'm not seeing it as Tidus is supposed to be me. I'm seeing it as Tidus is the character in the game who I happen to be playing as.
What do you mean?
Then he grew on me over time, you know. And when the whole thing about like, I used to be so pissed off that he was irrationally angry at his dad. But now it's like,
I see.
I get it now.
I don't think it. Yeah, like
his dad was kind of big to him.
Like, Jecht is literally an abusive father.
Oh, he was. Like 100%.
You do not look so well.
Like yeah, one of the main themes of this story is no, you shut the fuck up, Dad.
They're confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you think about it, Jecht is just Jecht is an example of toxic masculinity. When you think about it, right? Because he's trying to like show how he's the tough guy and he's the big one and whatever, but he can't bring himself to tell his kid he loves him, right? That's one of the things Auron says later, is like, Jack loved you, he just didn't know how to express it.
Yes.
He was a shit dad, but he did care about you.
Are you afraid?
Like, just like the Jecht spheres as well, like when we get to them, which will be in a few parts. Like, I think the Jecht spheres are some of the best characterization in the game. Because they give
100%.
They give a lot to Jecht that isn't really said anywhere else, because like Jecht isn't really in this game as a force. until
Yeah,
like
really, like the only one that the Jax Fizz don't really give much characterization to is kind of Braska himself. Like Braska seems a little one note compared to the others.
I
Like,
will summon. I have daughter.
yeah, pretty much.
We also just kind of glossed over Seymour being a complete creep there.
I mean,
Like-
that's
Seymour-
Seymour being Seymour. Seymour's gonna creep. Actually, I
Let me be your Lord Zayon. Go fuck yourself.
Seymour is
Sin is checked.
probably the worst villain in Final Fantasy, as in the worst main villain.
For a while there,
I just
I
don't
thought
find
I
him
could feel
interesting
it.
at all. I just
But
hate
that doesn't
him,
mean I
and
believe
it's not
you.
like you don't love to hate him.
Sin
you just hate
is
him.
checked.
But you
came
but
here
you
for
see, Seymour is just Thanos.
So we killed
They
all
just
those people just for a
they
chance to
both
see
have
me?
like massive death fetishes.
That's
That's
Sin
it.
does. He wanted to
Oh,
show
you on
the
about comics Thanos? Yes.
Do you know why?
How am I supposed to know?
Yeah, 100%.
So you would kill him.
Like, but Seymour
long
has
as
a
he's
death
Sin,
fetish, whereas
Jack will
like,
keep killing.
I
He
mean,
wants you to stop him.
yeah, now that I think about it,
You
it's not
gotta
really
be
comparable to the other like.
How do you
villains
know
in
all of this
series. Like, the others
anyway?
all want to destroy the world, but it's for like different motivations.
Seymour just wants to
I'm
do
not
it
done
because it's
talking to
the
you.
only
Don't
thing
you run
that can
away.
get him off.
You're the one
Seymour's like,
Sey-
yo, being dead is so cool. Everyone should be dead.
Seymour. Oh god, Seymour's motivation is so terrible and nonsensical. Like,
I don't
oh, the
really get
kids
it
are
before he
racist to me,
dies,
so
though.
my mother killed herself to create a summon, so now I want to kill everyone.
Right. I mean, I don't get it before he dies. I get it after he dies. Because after he dies, it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. We should all be like this, right? But before he dies, it's just like,
On made up. But the way
I don't get it. I want to become Sin to kill people. Because I want to become Sin to kill people.
I guess the summon.
It's
I
just
feel like they could have. Go ahead. I'll say this in a second.
just Seymour doesn't make a lot of sense, but also like he's so immensely creepy and fucked in the head that bit makes sense.
She's awfully cheerful.
Yeah, and I feel like they could have salvaged like Seymour's character by making him even more so like
Dark
amp up the
times,
depression
she
by
must be.
like a factor of
She must
2,000,
shine
amped up the creep factor by a factor of 10.
Dark times. You know
And-
I
We should
forgot
help him.
Tidus's reaction to
If you
learning
worry,
Kamari can
She
talk.
tries harder.
Oh, yeah.
Do not frown.
Thank you, Titus. Yeah, like
Don't worry, be
if he's
happy.
this immensely miserable character who wants to die, but he's already a zombie, so he can't die.
Smile, let me see.
Or like before he died, he wants to die, and then he dies, and he's a zombie, and now he wants everyone else to die.
Sad.
Makes more sense than this sort of I want to become Sin because I want to become Sin, which is what his character actually is.
Right, pretty much. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Like,
Like,
And
I mean,
like, Spirit is an extremely miserable place to be, and it would make sense that it would create people like Seymour, but they never actually show how miserable he is. They just sort of vaguely imply it by his evil scheme that doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, the most useful thing you can do with Seymour story-wise is summon Anima against him to make him really upset.
yeah, that's funny.
just flex
Whoa.
on this dude by like getting his mum to like put him in timeout.
I will
Dude,
say,
if you high summon Anima against him, she can take out the final Seymour fight in a single move.
Yep.
oh, she can take out some of the dark ones in a
I
single
do
move.
it every time I fight Seymour on this. Like, just it's timeout
It's a
time,
really-
Seymour.
It's a really easy fight to begin with,
That's how
because it's too easy to negate elements in this game,
You know,
so...
the only problem with it is like the problem with that fight, or the last Seymour fight. It's got the coolest soundtrack in the whole game, and you hear 5 seconds of it because the
Yeah.
fight ends so quickly.
Yep.
He has 8 EK HP, all his attacks are elemental, and it's easy to nullify elements in this game. What kind of
That's
like
why,
pedal
like-
boss fight is that?
Like you
Well,
can.
well, you
That's
see,
right.
the HD remake tries to fix the problem of the song not playing for long enough by making the remix so bad you don't want to hear the whole thing.
Yeah, the remastered soundtrack version of Battle with Seymour is an absolute butchery. Like,
I don't know, I didn't mind it.
See,
but
I'm
then again,
kind of
I've already heard it.
conflicted on the remastered soundtrack because, like, I think the boss theme for 10 is terrible. But the remaster
Yes.
actually gives it some needed depth to it. But at the same time, the remastered version of the regular battle theme is so bad I can't help but laugh at it whenever it shows up.
I
Yeah,
prefer
because the remastered version makes it like it tries to sound like so epic.
We're
And it's
going to
not.
replace every single instrument with an electric guitar just to
Yeah.
see what happens.
Pretty
at least
much.
it's not like 10-2's fucking weird random battle theme with a screeching guitar.
Oh yeah,
like
10-2.
15
Let me play
seconds.
let me play 2 notes on a drum and then murder a guitar.
You could have stopped the sentence after at least it's not 10-2.
No, 10-2's quite a good game. It's just
The music is really bad.
yeah.
With 10-2, like, I
10
mean,
10-2
it's got a great
has,
combat system.
yeah,
and that's all I'm
10-2
gonna say about
as
it.
a game is good. As a
What?
soundtrack, it's fucking horrendous. As a story, it would be alright if the best ending didn't exist.
God.
With,
Wait, what was that big what ad, Cat?
You just healed the snow flan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he hit the ice flan with an ice ball.
Yes,
that's
I know, but
because
why?
it's lengthened the
It's
fight,
because it would be
right?
in
So-
character for Waka. We're doing the
Oh.
deep role playing here.
Bruh, I thought you were trying to lengthen the fight so everyone could get AP.
No, we just
that's
talked about how that's stupid.
that's probably what I was doing. Like,
Oh.
like I don't know if anybody apart from SCM has noticed this, but like, if you see me in a save menu, look at the date on the save.
I have not noticed that. I bet it's really old.
It is the 15th of the 1st, 2019. For reference, the date of
That's not as old as I thought.
For reference, today, the day on which we are recording this, is Monday, the 8th of June, Anno Domini 2020, in the year of our Lord.
It's interesting how much you use summons in this game, because I barely use summons in any game, right?
Like,
Except for 15, where you're forced to use them.
I tend to use 10's Aeons a lot, but that might just be a holdover because it was my main go-to strategy as a kid to just yeet everything out of existence with summons.
You know, when I first played 8, I didn't understand the junction system at all, so my strategy was to just summon as every attack. I didn't even like use normal attacks or anything, so I can't really talk. But then since I think that playthrough of 8 traumatized me out of ever using summons ever in my life because it was so bad.
So I got really lucky in this Let's Play save because I got a Stone Touch weapon on my first Basilisk kill ever. And Stone Strike and Stone Touch weapons in 10 are very good because Stone, as always, is an instant kill, and very few enemies resist getting stoned.
What do we think of the sphere grid in this game? Because I love it, but I've heard mixed opinions.
So the sphere grid is my favorite form of progression in a video game ever.
Okay.
I just love everything it does, basically, especially how late game you have a ton of customization regarding it.
I think I prefer Materia, but I think the sphere grid is very close second for me.
I like it in general, but I think it does lead to some serious early game problems because there is an absolute drought of ability spheres up until about this point in the story, and it is really annoying. Like it is so you basically have to beeline distill ability, which did not exist in the original version of the game. Otherwise, you're just going to get stuck because you have to choose between skipping over, waiting for an actual sphere. You can use skip over useful abilities, or waste a ton of levels backtracking.
I think the main problem here is the penalization for backtracking. Like, this would not really be an issue if backtracking was something you could do for free, or like even just like at half cost.
Backtracking is quarter cost, but even then, like
okay, what? Yeah,
but also you can't partially spend a level. So if you go go back 1 to 4 spots, that level is spent, regardless of whether or not you did the full 4.
First down the moonflow to the Guado city of Guadosalam. Then we cross
that
the
reminds me,
Plains to
right,
the
when
Temple
you
of
just use the
Makalania.
stone touch weapon, I know you just talked about it, but like, I think what's so cool in this game is how you can customize, like, you have the items that you can customize them to either deal an attack or deal resist against it.
In order to
I just think, and tying it to items is just the cleverest fucking thing. She's got to prepare,
mind them body, all just to get ready for the final summoning.
The only issue is how painful it is to grind for some of said items.
I'll be fine with you here.
Yeah, that's but like, it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, right? Because it's a bad thing when you get to the end game and it takes fucking ages where you're fighting the same enemies over and over and over and over again in the monster arena.
Hey,
like, there's that one fucking fight that you have to beat 10 million times just to get 100 luck.
Boss?
Right?
Don't tell
and
Yuna.
that's
You know
awful.
about Sin and Jack.
But on the other hand, like,
You know her.
I think I really like the idea of, like, you have limited resources, so you have to be very careful about what you spend and what. Because this is really the only game where Gil is actually important in the late game.
Yeah, like, bribe is a hell of a mechanic.
You have a point.
And incredibly expensive.
I
yeah,
really
not
have
even
to know
just
about
bribe,
Jet?
like everything else.
What about my
like,
feelings?
and fucking Yojimbo. I can't believe I forgot Yojimbo. Right? But Gil is really important.
Me? Emotional?
Although, admittedly, with Yojimbo, if you're spending Gil and you don't get Zen Matter, it's just a bit of a waste.
Kid. Maybe even a little now.
I
forgot that line. Hey, that's fucking amazing.
I still don't buy your story, you hear?
My favorite line, like, just for weird delivery in that entire, like, group of cutscenes is Yuna's, "I'll be fine with you here." It's just really weird delivery, and I know why it's, like, delivered like that. It's just...
all the lines in this game are
we've gone over that time and time again, but it's still funny as hell.
Yeah, I think that, for me, the funniest line in that scene is when Yuna's like, "We get to pray at the temple of Josa." She's so excited, like...
Praise be to Yevon.
I know why, but why?
Sometimes you just gotta get a new friend.
But our troops,
yeah, because the point of Yuna is that she's trying desperately hard to be overly positive this whole time, or at least that you think that she's overly positive the whole time. But you can imagine, like, deep down, she's gotta go and fucking die.
This is our just reward.
Right? And like in a few weeks, she's mentally prepared to in a few weeks go and die. Right? I mean, that's when you realize, holy shit, like, Yuna has one of the most tragic character arcs in any of these games.
Yes, the Temple of Giant Rock. Where I don't realize that this isn't a cutscene and you can actually move around. Which 10 does a lot.
Yeah, that's a carryover from the PS1 days. Like, I mean, there were times in, like, FF7 was like for instance, like where the background would change to an FMV, but you can still move Cloud around. And this is kind of a carryover from that.
It only opens when a summoner is addressing the faith.
It was also really funny in the pre-remaster versions of 8 because the FMVs didn't really increase in quality with the ports, but the character models did tend to get cleaned up a bit, so it started getting incredibly obvious when they were doing the FMV stuff.
That's a similar thing for FF9's PC port as well. Which is
FF9 PC port is basically like it's slightly better than having a really good version of PSX and playing FF9 that way. It's good, but it's not like amazing.
I would not call the 9 PC port good. It exists.
Well, I mean, I only thought it was good because I only played it on a phone, which it was great on a phone. It was excellent, right? It had no right to be as good as it was on a phone. And I also played it on PS4.
The PC version is another instance of them just shoving the smartphone version onto PC without fully adapting it.
Right, without optimizing it? Yeah, because...
there is no native controller support.
I don't think the 6 port would be as notorious as it is if it weren't for the fact that they did no optimization whatsoever when they put that on PC.
Hell, the smartphone version of 6 has one of the best gameplay improvements that they've done by making Cyan actually usable.
Right.
But the rest of the port has so many fucking problems with it.
It's just that everyone hates the sprites, understandably so, because they didn't optimize them at all, right? They were designed for a smartphone screen, and they did not bother to do anything, and then they didn't even fucking adapt the UI. They did not adapt the UI when they brought 6 over to PC. That was so fucking stupid.
You have the look of your father.
Square phoning it in for ports? I never.
You knew him?
The worst one...
No.
Like,
I have never met the man.
This abomination right here. You have to like lay it over the video or something. What
is
is this? It's like a mix of like isometric, like a 3D sprite.
Yeah, that was so stupid. That one. That was disgusting.
You're missing the worst part of that one, which is like when the people first encountered the castle. It looked like a little model of Figaro, so everyone thought, oh, that's just going to be like little advanced models of the area. No, every single castle looks like Castle Figaro on the world map.
God.
Yep, it's stupid.
I'm not really.
The thing is, like, I am torn between if I want 6 to have a full remake in the style of FF7, or if I just want it to have like a kind of a partial remake in the style of like 4DS.
I accept your challenge.
Because on the one hand, I think it would be really fucking cool to see like 6 with the action RPG style. On the other hand, like, I don't know if you're taking too much away from the identity of the game, where it was a very retro game. But I think, like, if they did a remake of 6, and they did it like, it's going to be like 4DS, where we barely change it at all, right?
4DS is a very big change from every other version of the game, I would say.
Not nearly on the level that FF7 is.
It's enough that we've had to cover them as separate games.
Oh yeah, right. But anyway, but if they were to do it like more low level like that, shall I say, more low level like that than full blown like FF7 remake is, then they shouldn't do it 3D. They should do it in the style of Octopath Traveler.
God, I bought a Switch for Octopath, and I'm just like, I burned myself out on it like 50% of the way through, and it's just like, I should get back to it sometime, but like...
That's how I feel about Bravely Default as well, where like, excellent games, but they're grindy as because they're so hard.
Like, I don't mind grind. Like, I weirdly enjoy grinding. It's like this weird. Like,
seems that summoners have been going on
yes, here's something I'll do to make number go up.
I mean, this is your favorite game in the series, right? I mean, if this is your favorite game, then it makes sense that you enjoy grinding.
Sorry, I don't know more, but watch your
Yeah, I mean, that
back.
says it all. Like, if this
Ain't
and
much
5 are
future
your
for a
favorite games,
guardian
then
without
yeah,
a
you
summoner,
must have a
eh?
thing for grinding.
Yeah, basically.
What y'all talking about?
Like, for me, like, my top 3 is
We're
this,
talking about
12,
doing
and
your job as a
5. Which one I
guardian.
like most at any given point.
I'm doing
Kind of
good.
changes with the win,
Right,
but it's
big
one
brother?
of those 3 at any given point. And all of
Yeah,
those
I'm
are
like that.
All
arguably...
3 of those are the grind.
Yes.
Yep. I'm like that with 6 and 12, but for me, like, 6 and 12 are wildly different games, where, like, I'm either in the mood for, I really want an amazing story with great characters, in which case it's 6, or I really just like this style of gameplay, in which it's 12.
I mean, I would say that, like, 12 is the best story in the entire series.
It's a great story.
Guardians, at attention.
It is not told that well.
We are ready.
And I do not like Vaughn
All right.
at all.
Let's
He
do it.
just grew on me a lot.
Vaughn
has
is
never
just
grown on me.
Twinkier Titus.
I just really don't like Vaughn. I don't get why he's there. I don't get why he's the main character when the story revolves around Ash. I don't understand it.
They did so much to remaster the game, and it's still very obvious that Vaughn's abs were painted on. I have to assume it's deliberate by this.
Like, Vaughn just wakes up in the morning, grabs out, like, his, like, little tin of paint and just slavers it on.
As a personal trainer, this offends me.
See, I don't mind Vaughn's character that much, but his design is atrocious until was it, when did he first get the shirt? Tactics A2, I think.
Yeah, Tactics A2. Vaughn is very good in Tactics A2. Like, admittedly, like, I will sing the praises of, like, Tactics Advance and A2, like, until the day I die, but...
The entire Ivalice series is gold, but I heard that the 14 version is not.
It's bad.
So here's the thing. The first 2 raids are, like, just... they're too long. They're just too long and they're garbage. And Gizmat is you chasing a Roomba around a room for, like, 5 minutes. It's...
Construct 8 is good, though.
Construct 8 is very good, because it proves that...
Construct 8 is good. You have not lived until you have seen 24 people fail to do basic math.
Like, I don't, like, this is just me, like, being probably, like, a dickhead, but I don't get how people can fuck up Construct 8.
So, are you at the point now where you've memorized the Cloisters of Trials off by heart? Or
I have this one memorized.
Okay, because I was gonna say you're doing this so confidently that I'd be so disappointed if it turns out that you've actually fucked everything up.
No, like, I remember this one very, very well. Like, this, I'd say this one's the easiest of the Cloister of Trials to do. Just, like, it's very, very simple. You make supercharged sphere, you jump over the, like, field of electricity. Here is my only fuck up.
Do you know what pisses me off about the Cloister of Trials? It's Titus. You've got 2 hands. Why can you only carry 1 spear?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's a pain.
You have 2 fucking hands.
My big issue with the Cloister of the Trials is this theme. I really hate this theme.
Oh yeah, the theme's kind of tough.
I don't know if this theme is, like, objectively good or bad. I just know that, like, this theme, it brings back bad memories because, like, as a child, like, I could not figure these out because, like, an 8-year-old kid is a fucking idiot, let's be real.
this is one of those sequences where you can imagine like the FF10 remake where they have to do what they did in FF7 and be like, you have to explain every little thing that we did weird in the original. Like, you just imagine like there would be some fucking line of dialogue that they would add and be like, oh, by the way, this is why you can only carry one sphere at a time. Oh, by the way, this is why, like, I don't know, they just add in so many fucking lines of dialogue that have to like explain away this shit. Because when I first played this really fucking confused me.
Like, obviously, secretly, Tidus only has one arm, and the other arm is just, like...
Yeah, it's the arm thing is the thing that annoyed me the most, really. Like, I mean,
I feel like...
I don't even mind the theme that much. I mean, it kind of sucks hearing the same shit over and over and over again. But the thing that annoyed me is, like, why can I only carry one at a time?
It's the limitations of the PS2 animation where they can't carry him holding it like a big crystal ball that he needs two hands to hold.
Speaking of limitations of PS2 animation, right? I mean, it's kind of easy to forget, like, how, like, because they, like, developers back then were squeezing so much out of the hardware that it's kind of like easy to forget that there's a lot of stuff that they made look easy that must have been really like difficult to implement.
Like, I remember when 10 came out, there was a lot of praise for its facial animations and like how hard they worked for them to work on the PS2.
Right.
And nowadays,
and
like, the facial
days,
animations of 10 are like,
the
yes.
most embarrassing thing.
It's a bit embarrassing, yeah.
Right, and I mean, when you look at, like, I mean, I'm gonna use the example of the game I know best, Ratchet and Clank 3, right? There's one enemy on that game where, like, they had to cut the enemy because the idea was, like, it's this medium-sized enemy, and you can pick up a smaller one and throw it at Ratchet, right? And throw him like a bowling ball, right?
Oh, that sounds like a coding nightmare.
Yeah, like these days, like if they were to make that on PS4, or even on PS3, they would probably have no time making an enemy like that. Like the fact that those days they were being that ambitious, that they were trying stuff like that, it kind of shows you like how much they were pushing the PS2 hardware. Seriously at the time.
My thing with Ratchet and Clank in terms of dummied content is the stuff in the Insomniac Museum of 2 or 3, I can't remember which, about how they had to dummy out an entire world based around like just walking on like the magnetic ledges and stuff, and like they had to cut it.
No, it wasn't a world. It was in Silver City. And it was basically, yeah, like, it was basically, there was one segment where in the final game, there's, it's just a combat segment, right? But in the original, that was going to be, they were adding, like, these spheres that you can jump across, and you use the gravity boots to jump across that, and it really, like, fucks with your orientation too much, so they had to cut it.
What is it, Bartello? You know this
giving motion sickness to, like, 8-year-old kids,
no.
like the video game designer's dream.
Yeah, I'll link you the section I wrote on that, because that was a fascinating find to find out what that's actually from.
Yeah, like, because I remember like reading a lot of the Insomniac Museum stuff when I played like the Ratchet and Clank games last, which was probably like 5 years ago.
Oh, the Insomniac Museum is the best thing. It's the best Easter egg they ever added. And I got to talk with the guy from Insomniac who added it, and I told him, like, yo, that's the best Easter egg you've ever made. Right, and that Easter egg on its own inspired me to start coding. And, like, and he was, like, so happy to hear that. And that was, like, the proudest moment of my life, other than the time when I got Britt Barron to respond to me when I thanked her for doing so well as Tifa.
And
anyway, back to the game.
Anyway, we just missed Donna getting savagely.
Please touch me with that hand and I'll remove
Yeah, Donna's fucking annoying, and she's even worse in 10 2.
Also, I love Barthello saying, "Can I shake your hand while flexing?"
Barthello knows.
Really
Barthello knows only two things: auron fanboying and muscle.
And being a dick. Yep.
I kind of like Barthello. He's just like, he's just muscular and dumb. Like,
Kimari has the best line here. Pig stop. Shut up. Wait.
so you're not actually supposed to wait here. You're supposed to go to the exit, but I didn't realize this.
Regardless.
I'm just waiting like a fucking idiot, and like.
Yeah, this is the kind of game design they can't get away with anymore, right? They can't get away with a game design where it's like, we're going to be ambiguous as to what you have to do, and you just have to kind of figure it out.
10 has a lot of them with Cloisters of Faith, like...
Kingdom Hearts 1 has that, right? And, like, when I'm playing through, like, it's like that thing where, like, it's in Twilight Town, I think, and then you go into that area and Heartless appear, and you can just fight them over and over and over and over and over until it's like, alright, you have to go back to where Sid is, and that's how you progress. Like, when I first played that, I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this game not fucking telling you what you're supposed to do?
Kingdom Hearts 1 is a bit of a mess, let's...
But that's because that was how game design was back then, where they were like, we want the player to figure out what they're supposed to do. But these days, that's considered a sin.
Like,
right?
Here's the thing, I think there's a happy medium.
Right.
Yeah. I think, yeah, a lot of modern games overdo it, but here you're just like, they tell you to stand still, and then you stand still and nothing happens.
Right, and then like Brianna White, the voice actress for Eric in the new one, she said like, she had this thing where she was live streaming the game, and then she turned to the camera at one point after this one segment, and she's like, do you know what I really hate about games these days? It's when it's like, oh, did you need a hint? Here's a hint. Are you stuck? I'll give you a hint. I've always hated that. And I especially hate it when it's my own voice.
Hey, listen.
The world must look different when you're the daughter of Lord Braska.
Also, I just don't get donors' clothes. Like, it is basically
Nomura's worst design are all in this game.
Yeah, well, if you count 10 too, then the worst designs are here, yeah. But,
right.
But yeah, the 10 series is just Nomura going full troll and knowing he can get away with it.
Just
why did they give us Ixion instead of Ramu in this game?
Because Unicorn, and to make people angry at Savage Raids like 10 years after the fact. Anyway, that's the part. That was fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was
it.
Oh,
wow.
It was an hour long, yeah.
Cool. Alright, well, thank you everyone for tuning in.
It was very long, yes. Okay.
There's a lot that happens in that 1 hour, really.
Yeah.
And we ignored most of it.
Yeah, to talk to... Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming on.